You're watching NBC News Channel 6, where news comes first.
Earlier this month, a group of people from Idaho Falls traveled thousands of miles to Japan for a sister city exchange, and our cameras were there. Over the next 4 nights, Suzanne Hobbs will show us the special friendship that keeps getting stronger between two different cultures and why this program is so important.
A delegation of 15 people traveled from Idaho Falls to Tokaimura Village November 1st through the 10th for a cultural exchange that has been going on for 26 years. And these two cities have two big things in common: potatoes and atomic energy. East Idaho is famous for its potato. In Japan, Tokai Village is famous for its sweet potatoes grown in its rich, dark soil. Tokai is the birthplace for atomic energy research in Japan. In the 1950s, this experimental reactor called JRR-1 was the first to create atomic energy, just like the Idaho National Lab was the first in the United States to create atomic energy at EBR-1. What we had in common helped create the idea for establishing the Sister Cities program. Speaking through an interpreter, the mayor of Tokai, Tatsuya Murakami.
We are continuing for the past 26 years this Sister City Alliance, and it is very honorable to be able to continue this relationship.
The Idaho delegation was given a welcome reception at the Sister City Hall to celebrate our arrival.
We are very glad to receive you visiting our country.
Carol Walters is the president of the Idaho Falls Sister City Committee.
Deep regret, Karen and I are not able to meet with you.
She reads a letter from Mayor Jared Furman explaining why he is unable to attend due to his shoulder surgery. Speeches are made and gifts are exchanged between the cities. Then we eat. Among the expected raw fish and vegetables at the dinner was one surprise: pizza, but it's different. This is topped with corn, potatoes, and fried chicken, and it's not eaten with your hands, but chopsticks. The next day, we're invited to City Hall to visit with the mayor. He tells us about life in his village, and we ask questions. Tokai has a population of 36,000 people. Its city operates on a staggering budget of $170 million. He says the crime rate is low. Thieves breaking into cars is about as bad as it gets. We tour the city assembly chambers. There are 22 members on the council, many for such a small village. Then we plant a tree on the lawn of a very special home. When you first see it, you do a double take and wonder if you're in Japan or back home in Idaho. This building you see behind me is Sister City Hall. It's right next to the City Hall for Tokaimura Village. It was built about 6 years ago, and it's designed to look like a home you might typically find in Idaho Falls. And it is in honor of the close friendship the two cities share, even though they are thousands of miles apart. Tokai built this house at a cost of $300,000. It is used for meetings and hosting parties and educating the village about Idaho. Inside are many of the Western-style gifts the Idaho delegation has given over the years. This home shows how seriously they take this relationship, and during our journey, they will do everything to share with us their culture, from the breathtaking and centuries-old shrines and temples to the foods you have to try at least once, and the everyday scenes of life in Japan. Most importantly, we'll learn to love the people who welcome us into their homes, and by the end of the journey, call us part of their Japanese family. When we leave, tears will flow.
I've made so many friends over the last 6-7 years, and the friendships run very deep. Every time I go, I make new friends. It's just an amazing experience. It's hard to put into words.
The delegation was shown around Tokai. First on the list, one of its proud accomplishments, the city recycling plant. Every home and business recycles. Waste has to be separated into different bins, and if you don't recycle, your garbage is not picked up. Trash is sorted into 21 different types of materials, and that means less waste to incinerate. All of Japan recycles, and it is mandatory. Here in Tokaimura, since they started their recycling program, they have reduced waste by 20%. They have plans to reduce the waste even more by 30% in the coming years. It's even a revenue-producing facility. There are businesses willing to buy the separated and cleaned waste, from glass to scrap metal, even paper. The city gets millions of dollars in revenue from what it sells. Chris Ott says she wanted to come to Japan to see this recycling program and was impressed.
Clearly, a town this small, a village, that can take this much pride in how they separate and care about the waste means we can do that too. Or at least we need to start thinking about it.
We travel to a home that still looks like it did centuries ago. This home here in Tokaimura Village is over 250 years old, and it is considered a national treasure in Japan. We have been invited to come inside and have some tea and learn more about how important this home really is. While we drink our tea, the owner explains that this home was where the region leaders met and important decisions made.
The most impressive things that I saw was where the last summer I had come into the home and had made marks on the beams. Normally they would have burnt the house down, so I believed it showed respect for the home.
This gate is where the last samurai broke through to enter the home. It will never be repaired.
Just being in here, it is so peaceful. You can just imagine what it must have been like for those people that lived here 200 years ago.
I'm from Scotland.
I'm from Japan.
Excellent. Very, very good. Very, very good.
At this elementary school, fourth graders are learning English. It's required education for 6 years.
Shirts. Glasses.
English teacher David Sharp says students are anxious and willing to learn the global language. We see examples of this push to learn English when we walk through the streets.
My name is Carol Walters. I am from Idaho.
Students carry books with questions to ask us in English for practice. We feel a bit like celebrities as we sign our names and fill in where we are from and why we are in their country. Uniforms are required for junior and high school students. There is no transportation. Students either walk or ride their bikes to and from school. They have very few discipline problems. At a large field, we found workers carefully uncovering buried treasures from the past. We're here at an archaeological dig in Tokaimura. This area will soon be an elementary school, but it's quite typical here in Japan for them to find out what is underneath the ground before they build a building. And here they're finding things from huts that were here 1,300 years ago. Anything of value like clay pots will then be put into a museum. We learned Tokai is taking great steps in many ways to care for its past and preserve its future. Japan is a country rich in history and culture. We traveled to see many shrines and temples that dot the land and learned how to wash our hands and mouth before entering into a Shinto shrine, and then how to give offerings and pray once we are inside. Children dressed in traditional Japanese clothing are brought to the shrines to mark special days of celebration. We also saw a wedding ritual performed. This giant Buddha was built to honor one of Japan's spiritual cultures of Buddhism.
Liked the big Buddha. That was impressive. You come around a corner and suddenly there's this huge Buddha there that seems to be rising out of nothing. So that was pretty impressive.
We tour a centuries-old castle built to protect a ruler. Its thick walls to keep the invaders out. Stepping where people have walked for hundreds of years is truly an experience the group won't soon forget.
Everything in our country, if it's 100 years old, is ancient, and here 100 years old is just a baby.
We ride the trains and see how millions of commuters get around each day. Simply stated, Tokyo Station is a busy place. After this experience, a drive across town in Idaho Falls isn't so bad after all.
We have it so easy being able to just drive across town, get where you want to go, where this, it takes a lot of planning in order to know where to get on, where to get off, and just make it there without being stressed.
And about another form of transportation, these small cars everyone drives. Rarely do you see an SUV.
I have never seen so many small, unique, hot-looking cars. Very rarely do you even see a junker or a clunker on the highway. They're just not there, and as I understand it, they get very good gas mileage.
Mount Fuji is Japan's highest mountain. The peak briefly shows through the clouds, and we hurry to pose for pictures. All over Japan, you find vending machines like this, and it sells anything from cold coffee to green tea to juices. But one thing you will never see in the United States is a vending machine that sells beer. For just 300 yen, you can have your cold brew. I'm told that underage drinkers trying to buy alcohol from these machines is not a big problem. After a long day of touring and travel, we're fed a lunch that is not only delicious, but beautiful. Each meal is a work of art. Our friends kindly explain what we're eating and how to eat it.
The problem most of us are having is using the chopsticks to get the rice into our mouths. But overall, the food has just been absolutely wonderful.
You can't come to Japan without trying the local cuisine. So far on our trip, we've experienced anything from deep-fried minnows to sea urchin and teriyaki eel. And even though the foods may not be familiar to us, it's all part of the cultural experience. Each member of the delegation had different experiences with the food, but all were willing to try. Sherry Hansen tried a deep-fried minnow and learned that even though it sounds strange, it's not too bad. Although not everything we try we like and have to wash down with a drink and a smile. During my homestay, my family offered me dry fish you eat whole. The food here is very fresh and healthy and colorful. You have to be willing to let your taste buds get a few surprises.
Food has been a challenge. I'm a meat and potatoes guy, and it's been a challenge, but I've tried a lot of different stuff. So far, nothing's killed me, so we'll get by.
Yeah, I absolutely tried things I've never had before. And some you enjoy and some you don't.
Our willingness to try and experience the food goes a long way with the Japanese.
I think that the people in Idaho Falls is very eager to get the culture, Japanese culture. And I'm very impressed with that point.
And the Idaho delegation is impressed with the people who call this beautiful land home.
They are so friendly, so gracious people that we just enjoy coming and visiting and seeing everybody and doing the things that they have us do.
It's difficult to put into words just what this experience was like. Some members of the delegation have been on this exchange before, and others, this is their first time.
They are the nicest, most polite, most welcoming people I have ever seen in my life. Right down to the very smallest child. Incredibly kind people.
On our final night, Tokai held a farewell party. Their mayor said he hopes to see this 26-year friendship continue on for another 50 years. Beth Sellers is the manager of the Idaho Operations Office for the Department of Energy. She didn't realize until this trip just how tight the relationship has been between the two cities over the decades.
We were the first in the United States to create atomic energy out at the INL, and they were the first in Japan to create peaceful commercial nuclear industry, or nuclear energy as well.
Japan is one of our collaborative countries through the nuclear renaissance. Experiences like the Sister Cities program help foster a better understanding of our global partner.
I'd like to see more people from the INL join the Sister Cities program just to send that message.
Brian Warchow works at the Idaho National Lab and says this will change how he interacts with INL visitors from Japan.
But now you get to see the human side of them more than just the professional side, and see they have families and interests and fun just like we do in the United States.
The group can't help but think about how different our relationship is since World War II.
They still have no anger or hatred as a result of what happened in World War II. They still embrace us and bring us into their homes.
Paul Hansen says his father fought in World War II and struggled the first time Paul came on this exchange, knowing his son was making long-lasting friendships with the Japanese.
My father has actually accepted it now that we do this. It's just amazing.
Paul feels if we had relationships like this with other countries, we would not have all the wars and fighting. Although we appear to be so different, we really have much more in common.
If you look at it, all of us, we're the same people. We all want the same thing, a happy family, where our goals are the same, to live and raise our families to that standard.
Growing up in Idaho Falls, we are so sheltered, and to be able to see how the world is so much bigger out there, but yet people are not that different, has been an eye-opener.
When it's time to leave, we give hugs and handshakes to the once strangers who are now our friends.
Bye-bye.
It's sad. You become just like a permanent member of their family, and it's very difficult to say goodbye.
It's agreed between both cities that this relationship will continue because of the mutual interest we share in learning about each other.
Hey, sayonara, Idaho Falls. See you again. I'm waiting. Bye-bye.
A group from Tokai is coming to Idaho Falls in July of 2008, where they will experience what life is like in Idaho. For them, it is an eye-opening experience to stay in our homes, eat our food, and see our town. Back to you.